Welcome to Washington in Focus. I'm your host, Brett Davis, the Center Square's Washington State editor. Joining me today is the Center Square's reporter, Spencer Pauly. Now, when you think of asylum seekers, the first thing that pops to mind is not normally Tukwila, a suburban city in King County, Washington. But in fact, Tukwila's mayor issued a state of emergency last month regarding asylum seekers. And the challenge has only grown since then. Give us an update, Spencer.
Sure. So last month when Tukwila Mayor Allan Ekberg first issued the state of emergency at this encampment within the city, there is about 200 some asylum seekers at this Riverton Park United Methodist Church was kind of overrunning the encampment. Since then, it has increased to over 500 asylees passing the encampment at some point. As of November 19th, the site had 338 people on site. Now, when you divvy up the people on the site, out of the 338 people, there were 241 adults, and unfortunately, 97 were children at this outside encampment. As you know, weather starts to drop down, temperature, what have you, it's kind of concerning.
Where are most of these people from?
Most of these people are coming from countries like Venezuela, Angola, and Congo, where you're seeing a lot of violence and a lot of government issues. In return, a lot of people are being displaced and fleeing the countries.
I understand this issue came up at a recent Tukwila City Council meeting. What happened there?
So basically, people running or in charge of the encampment came and talked about kind of getting an understanding of what the situation is. So this encampment is very dynamic, as many homeless encampments are, meaning there are people coming in and out as they please. And so what some of the other statistics that were said were 24 people were moved into transitional housing from this encampment. But unfortunately, at the same rate, you're seeing 30 returning by December 1st, meaning transitional housing isn't working out or there's just not enough space. I believe those 30 people were coming from another church in Burien, but it's just not working out so well. So
it seems like a small amount of people out of the several hundred that are there.
That are increasing by a rapid rate. And that's what Deputy Chief of Police said for Tukwila, is that it's just getting worse and worse, but there's not much they can do about it except if more state and federal funds come at an impeccable time.
So this state of emergency that was issued last month, what exactly does that do?
So it basically seeks out federal and state funding, calls for it, just makes it aware that this is an issue that is getting worse and worse. And the city will remain in a state of emergency until they can resolve this encampment. And so far, it's not looking good. Now, I will make of note that one of the Tukwila City Council members, Kate Kruller, said she saw residents selling donated goods out of their trunk, which could cause more concern that, some of the donated money that the church is currently relying on is going to a bad cause. And what the response was is that it's not illegal to sell items that are given to you for a profit, but that is something that is being taken in consideration by the Tukwila police to better make sure that these donated goods are going to the people that need them within the encampment, and it's just not being used for make a profit. And whatever the money that goes to is something I made of note in the article I wrote, just because it's scary to think that you can try to do something nice by donating money to the church, and the church has done a great job of trying to provide resources to people and kind of keep them warm and safe. But at the same time, there's only so much you can do, and you can't really stop people from, doing what they want with the goods given to them.
Now, I don't know if you know the answer to this question, but is this problem or challenge unique to Tukwila, or is this happening in other cities as well in Washington?
Well, that's an interesting question. I believe you're seeing a lot of asylum seekers amongst other encampments. Especially you can look in Seattle. That's probably a gimme.
That's sort of the first city that came to mind, but Tukwila not so much. But maybe it's spreading out into other cities, other smaller communities as well.
Yep, and I think you could see it over in Snohomish. I believe Everett is one spot where you're going to see asylum seekers. But for some reason, this encampment in Tukwila is one that is growing at an alarming rate, and there's not much the city council can do. That was one thing I noticed, is that the city council basically said, keep doing what you can do. That was the kind of the encouragement they could give, because it seems like funds from the city council aren't available right now.
Sounds like this will be an ongoing problem. I imagine this will be a source of future stories for you, unfortunately. Listeners can keep up with this story and more at thecentersquare.com. For Spencer Pauly, this is Brett Davis. Please subscribe, and thanks for listening.
Knowledge is power, and you deserve to know what happens in your state government. That's why the nonprofit Franklin News Foundation is bringing you straight news journalism through the Center Square, reporting on state authorities and publishing stories that show where your money goes and who spends it. By supporting the Center Square, you can track politicians' use of taxpayer money and demand transparency from elected officials. This is how we can equip everyday Americans to hold their government accountable. Become a supporter of Franklin today at franklinnews.org/donate.